this may not be done in school. I'm hoping to do some...
This year?
This may not be done at Mansfield.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to do some graduate work in philosophy, but I have some concerns about following up philosophy. One of my concerns is that it seems in philosophy when you have some insight, you immediately have to capture it in a paper or in words. It sometimes seems that as soon as you try to put it into words, you lose the focus, or you lose the insight that you had. I'm concerned going into graduate program of philosophy, that's going to happen a lot. I'm curious how people can keep that insight, remain focused, and talk about that.
How can you keep an insight and remain focused within that insight as you talk? Is that what you're asking? And before that, you said, occasionally there is an insight connected with the study of philosophy. But I find that in putting this insight into words, which is what is going on in my philosophy's work or studies, something gets lost. Is that what you're saying?
Some focus.
Some focus gets lost. And then you came back to saying, is it possible to speak out of the focus of insight, even though using words and yet not losing the focus of insight? So one notices that there's a difference between seeing something very clearly and putting it into words. Is it just that there are different modalities, different modes involved? A different mode in putting something into words which involves the whole thinking apparatus of the brain, and the mode of seeing something which doesn't involve the thinking apparatus. Do you see the difference? Are you in touch with that difference? Maybe not right now. And is it inevitable, you're asking, is it inevitable that in putting something into words, the quality of seeing is lost? Because that is what happens almost all of the time. It also happens in studying the words that someone has written about an insight he or she had. In studying these words, is one studying words and thoughts, or is one in touch with the insight that these words are all about? That's what we were asking in the very beginning of our talk here. Is it possible not just to write words or listen to words, but be in touch with something deeper, or deeper is a dangerous word. It seems to have a value affixed to it, something qualitatively different, which is seeing without words. And that is for each one of us to find out. One can examine what happens as we put things into words. What are all the rivulets of thoughts that are set into motion, as one puts something into words or as one listens to words. We'll stick with putting things into words because this is what you were asking about. Is there the thought, how can I put it best in terms of what others have said? Can I put it as well as ABC, the philosophers ABC have said, or how did they put it? I'll use those words. In that moment there's the process of comparison going on. And it's an engaging process, engaging the whole mind and body, comparing. I'm not doing it as well, I'm doing it better. How can I do it as well? Which also has self-image in it again. Or as one is writing something down, I'm doing pretty well. At that moment there's no insight, there's being consumed with oneself. If one can see that, and that these rivulets dry up, the rivulet about self-concern, comparison with others, in expressing myself, not being concerned with that, but just putting into words what one sees is so. But if you say, at this moment I'm not seeing anymore, I'm just thinking, well then, that's all there is at this moment. The seeing is not there, so then the thinking is from memory, is not from looking and putting into words, but from remembering how was that insight, and looking at the memory of it, which is not a live insight, it's memory. And the words then coming out of memory of what was. And your concern is the graduate study of philosophy going to get me sort of locked into this process of memory, thoughts, words, systems of thoughts, comparison of systems of thoughts, and so forth, and no insight. Or the loss of insight over the burden of expressing, writing, dissertations, or papers, so forth. Is that question very, very much alive for you? You know, if one wonders about this, it doesn't just have to do with doing graduate work in philosophy. It concerns our daily living. Is one concerned and involved in words, ideas, images, the influence that the words have upon us, and using the influence of words to influence others, name calling, these emotionally loaded words that we say to each other, and then the impact on us, getting hurt or hurting. Or can there be insight into what's going on, that this is in fact right now going on, and the insight interrupting the pattern of thought, memory, comparison, image. Not obliterating memory or thinking, but shedding light on its limitations, what it does, how it influences, and how it can obliterate insight by becoming involved with the word, the thought. Now, if you ask, is it possible to put insight into words and the insight remain alive, the seeing remain alive? Find out. Someone says, yes, it's possible, but that doesn't do much for you, does it? Or does it? One has to be in touch with what's real oneself. One can't be, someone else can't do it for one. Not be satisfied with what the philosophical books or the religious books say about truth, but be in touch with truth oneself. The person who wrote the book may have been in touch, but what you have is words. You don't have the insight that this person had. It's not in the words. Somebody can sound very insightful, but it's still words. So in reading or writing, can one be in touch with what is actually so at the same time? Not just with the words. Does that sound complicated, or does it make some sense?
Down it for yourself.
Yeah. And how will one find out for oneself? How will one go about it? Because people will say to you, I've got a system, a tradition, a method, a technique. If you do that, you will get to insight. And then you begin to follow the words of someone else. And believe in the words of someone else. The question really is, can one be alone? Look, question and listen alone, which doesn't mean one has to isolate oneself in a cave or hermitage or physically separate, but alone meaning not influenced or believing in what other people say, but listening to it. It may have the ring of truth, but one has to see for oneself whether it's really so. Not buy it. Whole package deal we usually buy. Feel free if you want to ask more, or if something isn't clear, just always feel free to say, wait a minute, say that again, or I didn't quite get this, or can we go over this? Feel free to do that if necessary.
So can we go back to this question of image again for a bit? And sitting, there seems to come a point at which where this I is just this sort of continuing parade of things that rise and fall. At the same time, there's always at the back of it there is this I, or a sense of I am. And even if it's a chain of things, I'm identified with the chain of things that's going by. And when Marianne was talking about getting feedback from other people earlier, even when I'm sitting, it feels like constant feedback from myself, just the fact of my physical presence here, I say, physical presence, and the passing parade of things seems to be me, and that seems to be something continuous that's either so quick that I can't catch it, or something.
Yeah. Let's start out with a physical presence, because it probably doesn't make much sense. Here we are. There's separate body, and there's a separate body there. We can count how many separate bodies are there. So there's no denying the fact that there is a physical body here. Many of them. They're not all connected like Siamese tentuplets are. We're each sitting by ourselves. It's a fact. There's no denying the truth of this, that there is the heart is beating, the blood is circulating, and all what's going on. Sensations arising from the knees touching here and the buttocks touching here, the toes here, and there's pain in the knee. It's all there. That is so. It's verifiable. Why do we say, this is me? We do say that. But we can question saying that. Why are we saying it? Now, we do have a name. Your name is Tom, Peter, Toni, Stephen, and so forth. The name has a real practicality to it. If a mother calls a child, calls by a name. I mean, there's several children, each one has a different name. To get mail and so forth, we need to have a name and an address to receive our mail, to be called and addressed and talked to. Can one see the name is something that's put there for a practical reason, but there's identity with a name, particularly if it's a famous name or an infamous name. We say, this is me. I am the name, I am the body. But what is this saying, I am this body, or this is my body? This is me. Can one question it and be open to looking what it is that we're referring to? The body, we said, is an existing fact. Saying it is me is thought, isn't it?
Saying it, and at the same time, well, what just became clear to me is Marianne was talking, is that beyond thought, image is also either that there's a thought in the body and
yes.
in the emotions,
yes.
but it's really all one. So that
do you see that this
image,
is all
yes,
one?
Yes, yeah, I do. That's one image. That the feeling, the thought, the emotion, the physical.
Somebody hurting me, saying something, and the anger or sadness that arises comes from the thought, the image, and the interconnection of thought and image with a whole network of sensations, feelings, emotions that this body is capable of manifesting. But the manifesting of the physical feelings, emotions, and sensations lends or attributes to the idea me a reality. Because there are sensible feelings and emotions, the idea of me is made to feel more real. An attributed reality is attributed to this idea of me because of all the feelings that this body is capable of manifesting. And yet it is a thought, an image, that or a memory. Memory may be non-verbal. Something reminds the brain of something else. Something is connected non-verbally. From pre-verbal days, there are already memories stored in the brain of the baby. And something reminiscent of a painful memory will start the pain going. The pain is called up. But it's called up by memory. And then we say, I am hurt, I feel afraid. Whereas what is actually truthfully happening, that is a thought triggered all kinds of responses throughout the body which have been experienced in the past as fear. And the idea that there is someone who is experiencing this pain or this fear, which under very close and careful, attentive observation turns out just to be as you say, a parade of alternating thoughts, sensations, feelings, images coming out of these feelings, more feelings out of the images, and a stream of that. And that whole stream we call me, but that's another thought in that stream. And we say this is me either with great pride or with great depression or dejection, as part of that stream. At the moment that somebody has an image of us and treats us according to that image, we may not be open to that stream. We may be very much locked in the thought, she's hurt me, or she has treated me unfairly. Taking the thought of me, the thought and image of me with all the feelings that goes with it for a reality. Whereas if at the moment that this person approaches me with image and expectation, unfairness and so forth, at that moment, if there is the openness of awareness of the stream of thoughts and images, but not being identified with it, there will be no hurt. There will not be the feeling, she hurt me. Because it's just seeing how all of this functions and operates. Or if it operates so quickly that the connection has already been established between word and hurt, it can be seen very quickly to be just that. But there's no one who's been insulted. There's only somebody who said something insulting or provocative or whatever. Does it make sense?
Makes sense. And still,
yes?
Sitting quietly from moment to moment, it's as if I'm remembering the previous moment that I had called me.
Yes, okay.
Memory still.
So memory provides the continuity. Thought and memory provide the continuity of this self. The story of my life. Like in a movie film, all these little individual frames quickly going by as one person living through time. But just individual frames of memory. But not to take that as a theory which one says sounds convincing, I'll adopt it. Then one is in the trouble that you were talking about. One has to see that this is so. Then one will not be uncertain about it either. As long as you follow a theory, then you can become uncertain. You have to look, check how it is actually going. And not to deny it. If there is this it comes right back, this deep-seated feeling of this is a me here, then question it again. Just from the beginning. Not how did I last time understand it and resolve that, but watch it right now. What is going on that provides this deep-seated sense? Because if you say that it is a fact, then you won't investigate. If you say it is so, there is a self, there is a me, there is an Atman or a soul. If you believe in that, you will not investigate whether it's really so. Or investigate what constitutes this feeling of self or soul. What is it made up out of? What are the ingredients of it?
question about vulnerability and openness.
Yes.
In one's daily life, I find it difficult to maintain that in order to function. Like, for example, one extreme example I can think of is if you work in a hospital, for example, and you're really confronted with very deep pain and real horror. Just in order to go on functioning, I find it difficult to continue to be open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think it's for some, I know it's for some people just necessary to block off, can you say block off? At least part of their feelings.
To block off part of the feelings of horror at seeing disease, death, injury, so as not to be overwhelmed by it. It's what people who are patients in these hospitals often suffer from, the nurses who have blocked off feeling. Go about their business very efficiently, and often the complaint is very heartlessly. Not all of them, but it's a very frequent complaint. And the other side being, how can I survive this without becoming callous or indifferent or protected?
Not callous or indifferent, but not identifying too much.
Okay. Identifying with what? With the patient?
Okay.
What do you mean when you say not identifying with the patient? Let's look at it. What is this identifying with the patient?
I think everybody knows the situation that if you see somebody suffer, you feel part of it yourself. And that's what I mean.
And not wanting to feel that. Or being afraid that, okay, I feel this now, but maybe this will become extreme. Maybe it'll get worse. We may close off before we've really found out. Actually, a lot of these mechanisms are very automatic. The brain has a way of automatically shutting off when there's too much, too overwhelming, then something happens. But we're wondering here whether attention and awareness can take the place of automatisms that function for the survival of the organism, but the organism may not be harmed if it's possible to see without shutting off. The organism may be more harmed by blocking and controlling feelings than by really exposure. Exposure without division, without blockage. One may find to one's surprise that it's possible to be in the presence of this pain without being overwhelmed or smothered by it. So one has to look again at what is the idea of me in there. The fear of I may get overwhelmed. I cannot take it or endure it. Because these thoughts do flit through the mind. That's all I can take. I can't take anymore. And one doesn't really look at the patient. The patient may be waiting for somebody to look at him or her without withdrawing. And maybe the pain that one thinks the patient is in is is also projected onto that person. The person doesn't feel the pain the way we think he feels it or she feels it. I know nurses don't have much time, but can one communicate about that? It's such a taboo to talk about pain and hurt. And the patient may want to talk about it. We sort of learn to look the other way. I learned that in my childhood. If there was something, accident, dying, sickness, we were sort of told not to look that way as children, not to look. There was something one didn't occupy oneself with. It was for other people. There's been a real revelation that it's all right to look. You can look. I spent 3 weeks in a hospital with my husband on a cancer ward. He didn't have cancer, he had surgery, but it turned out it wasn't cancerous. But here was every day, from morning till evening in this room. There were 6 beds in it, and then the whole ward was the melanoma ward. You know, melanoma, skin cancer, it takes on incredible manifestations of tumors, discoloration. One person, the whole neck was blue and red, bulbs around it. And in looking, not staring, but looking, I realized that some of these people were actually looking around, not self-consciously, wanting to make contact. Those that were not so bedridden and so ill, some people were walking around. And people wanted to talk, wanted to be talked to as ordinary, normal human beings. And the first tendency was, I don't want to intrude upon them in their pain. Again, image and memory of how one was taught and brought up. Or the idea, I can't take it. To try out new ways. Because a painful thought is, oh my God, what if that was me? What if I was lying there and had this? And maybe that's what we're afraid of. Will I die like this? And again, thought and memory producing that fear and the anticipation of pain. So I don't want to be with this person, don't want to stay too much around there because it reminds me of what may happen to me. But a careful attending to what's going on in the mind will reveal that. That's the beauty of it. It will bring to light what's going on. So one doesn't have to live on ideas.
It seems there's also a real fear being in a position. I mean, what can one say to a person like that? This can be a real great sense of inadequacy. How can I possibly express anything? There's something very frightening about going into that, knowing that really knowing that you don't know what you can possibly say, because you're not armed with anything anymore. You know that there's anything you've learned of what you can say is maybe not going to help at all. It's a very frightening position to be in.
That's vulnerability. Not knowing what to say, not knowing how to protect oneself, but getting in touch without knowing how to do it. The patient may feel exactly the same way. You wrote in your letter you wanted to leave at 1:30 or 2?
Sure.
2 would be all right. Are there other questions?
I've got another question. If there are no others.
Did you have one? A question?
I think lunch is set for about 1:30, I suppose. So why don't we just go through to them?
Okay.
And
When I try to be attentive, either I'm attentive to sound, or I see, or I feel my body, or I feel a part of my body, but it's never the whole thing.
Never the whole thing. Yeah. That in itself is discovering something, isn't it? If you hadn't discovered that, you wouldn't be able to talk about it. It's either the sound or feeling in the body or just feeling part of the body, but never the whole thing. What we said earlier, that the breathing is not apart from someone moving, the sounds in the kitchen or the call of the bird. So what fragments or cuts up this world, including myself? What cuts up? Why at the moment of feeling a shoulder, isn't there the song of the bird? One has to put a question like that. And then not repeat the question, hoping that by repeating a question, eventually an answer will come, but putting a question, why is the attending to the pain in the shoulder, why does that cut out the sound of the bird? Then look and listen. What is going on in attending to the pain in the shoulder? And one may find, you have to look for yourself, but one may find, we can look right now, there's a pain in the shoulder. I know that I have pain in the shoulder. There's knowledge about this pain. Knowledge meaning the word pain, the word shoulder, and knowing this pain from the past. Or at least knowing shoulder and pain from the past, and now it's here, so I put it together and worry about it. Think, I wish I didn't have the pain in the shoulder. You may say, I didn't think that, but you have to watch, because those thoughts can be very subtle. A very subtle resistance to having a pain in the shoulder. I don't like it. I want it to stop. Or will this get worse? I know in the past it has gotten worse, so assuming it'll get worse and the worry about that. And with these thoughts and reactions and the feelings that go with it, there is a cocoon that is spun, which separates from the sound of the hum of the fan or the sound of the bird. So in becoming aware of a pain in the shoulder, can there be awareness of that pain without the word, the knowledge, the remembrance, the reaction, the fears? You're asking. You don't know whether it's possible. But it's quite clear that that is what provides the separation.
Yeah, but if you, for example, really are attentive to sound,
Okay.
you don't see very clearly. I mean, maybe that's only happening to me, but I have the feeling that that I can only be attentive to one thing at the time.
And what is the quality of attention to this one thing at a time? Is that a concentration which creates a focus, and in creating the focus on this one thing, blocks out anything that could distract from this focus. This is how we've been taught to concentrate, is to focus on this to the exclusion of everything else, or else I won't be able to concentrate. So concentration does not only mean focus or attending to one thing, it also means controlling and battling the intrusion of anything else. Controlling or battling, resisting thoughts or sounds that are not within this focus. So what we're asking is, can there be an awareness which has no focus? No attempt to focus on anything, no attempt to concentrate on anything, just an awareness that is open and doesn't know what this and this and this and this is. As soon as the word or knowledge comes up, yeah, it's a word, it's knowledge, it's memory. Just see that. But so quickly, am I doing it right? I don't know how to do it. And that's the focus. It's a very old focus. How am I doing? I can't do it, or I don't want to do it. These are thoughts with great power to narrow the mind. Past upbringing is that. Pay attention to this. Don't be distracted by that. Which doesn't mean that at times we need to concentrate on something. We're talking about sitting right now, or doing something where no concentration is needed. If you are trying to balance the books, you have to concentrate on the books, financial books. Or if we're sitting here talking, let's say there was another group in there, they were also having a meeting. We couldn't hear this and that going on at the same time. There could be awareness that there's some talking going on, but to really understand the meaning of the words that somebody at a distance is saying, the focus would have to shift.
In order to think, in other words, you have to concentrate.
Yeah, but there's the question that, what's your name? Rick asked to think and write out of an open space of insight.
So would that preclude concentration?
Huh?
Would that preclude concentration? That kind of focusing? I mean, if you're in that position where you're trying to piece this together. I mean, language is an abstraction, so it requires thought to do it.
Yes, and we're doing this right now.
Right. Yeah.
We're putting something into thought, and yet keep the mind open. So all I can say right now, without going before or without going further, it is possible.
Yeah.
Because there's the sounds in the kitchen, the airplane, you talking, and yet trying to express it as accurately as possible.
Can one then do that with the books too?
With the books. Oh, as you're balancing the books, yes, the woodpecker can be heard. Yes, I see what you're saying. The mind doesn't need to be closed. I think the real closing off takes place when one thinks, I'm the best bookkeeper there is. Or in writing something down or talking, the moment you think, gosh, am I doing this well? Or I'm terribly bad in comparison to some other student who writes thesis. That really, at that moment of self-concern, the outside world seems to fade away. Then it seems to be just a blown up capsule in which all of these thoughts have such a grip about me, my future, my acceptance, or my standing vis-a-vis others, and so on. So to the extent that those thoughts about me are absent, the mind can remain open even though there is a focus. If me becomes important, threatened, or wanting to aggrandize it, it just closes up. The open mind closes up.
And in that, there's no conclusions about what one needs or needs not to do. If you're trying to work in the cafeteria, maybe you realize it's just not possible to get what's done in that environment.
In that
environment, maybe that just seems to be the case. That the input of other information just doesn't seem to make it possible.
I don't quite get the situation in the cafeteria.
Well, it just seems to me that if that state of mind is open, then
if there's an open state of mind,
it precludes any conclusions about it, which is to suggest that you don't have any ideas. You don't say, well, then I should be able to do this in any given situation.
You don't know. You'll find out.
Yeah.
Now, precluding, I know this has to work or should work, is again what I should be able to do.
And that seems to be the tough thing about doing this. I mean, in listening to all that we've listened to, is to not kind of take that on as another, well, I should be able to do that. Why can't I do it? What is it?
Or if these thoughts do come up, to see them as our habitual way of thinking about ourselves, what we should be doing, and comparing ourselves and coming out at the lower end or the higher end, and how this creates confusion and is anathema to openness. No, I'm glad you brought this up, Peter. We're not presenting something that you should be doing or one should be doing. We're just questioning and looking, finding out for ourselves. But see that the mind does that. I should really get more open awareness also. How nice it would be if I had that, and imagining it and then wanting it. Because that's how wanting comes into being. You imagine something. Imagine having a pretty piece of jewelry or being with a nice-looking man or woman. You imagine that. And you almost have a foretaste of the pleasure of being with this man or woman or having that piece of jewelry. And with this pleasure that imagination can elicit throughout the body, there goes the wanting that. That whole process can be seen as it unfolds. And if it's really seen as it unfolds, it doesn't have the same power as it does when it's not seen, and we're just in the swing of it or under the power of it.
Can you stop that though? In other words, do you get to the point where you can just see this process of wanting developing, and it just, I mean, not one says, oh, I'm going to stop it, but just...
No, because that's more wanting.
Sure.
No, if there's really a genuine insight, then there's listening to the clutter of the wood and the creaking of the chair and the birds and the openness, and what's there to want? There's no imagination in this moment, and therefore the wanting stops. If being with what's actually there takes the place of imagination, then wanting has no place.
So imagination is imagination then something that is basically responsible for wanting, is imagination a negative force?
I don't put any value on it. It's a force. It's a very powerful force. Imagining the lunch right now, if one is hungry, and with that, if you're very hungry, start imagining the lunch. There's very little energy left for attention. You just see yourself eat this, and the whole system is go. Get the food. The saliva starts running, stomach gets into gurgling and so forth. Not all gurgling is imagining food. Sometimes happens without that. Often happens without it. But yes, imagination is a powerful force in eliciting want.
But what about just physical needs without imagination? They also create want.
But a physical need also creates imagination. Are you saying, is it a bad thing to have a physical need? That's in there, so.
No, but some needs we really create by imagination.
Yes.
But needing food, I feel that's something different.
But watch it. When you're very hungry, your blood sugar is low, and all kind of physical manifestation of this, the imagination starts going, where could I find some food right now? And because the imagination is going, you may be able to find some food. You think of refrigerator, or if you're in the wilderness, you go think, are there some berries around here, or some roots that I could eat? Imagination has a very important function there too. Because we're not like the animals. The deer, they don't have to imagine food, they just have it under their nose.
But they do learn. They learn things that make them sick and things that they like. In their garden there are plants that they will eat and plants that they won't eat. So they do remember stuff.
So there is some memory going on too.
So the difference seems to be that that's a function, to learn what will hurt you and learn what is good for you.
Yeah.
If there were no imagination, or just a very inactive imagination, would there be no wanting, or very little wanting?
Let's put it this way, when there is a state of no wanting, there's no imagination going. Or an image that comes up is seen for an image. And in the seeing, the connection with getting the body going is not established. The attention, the energy is different. But when hunger sets in or getting cold, then the imagination goes, where's my sweater? And you know, the imagination to survive is amazing. What one will think of to do, to produce, to keep alive. It's a very good thing to experiment with, to look at something or somebody and really remain with looking at this person without imagination taking over. What the person's like, or how would it be if I was with him or her? Or looking through catalogs. If you look through catalogs, clothes catalogs, now it's really a world of catalogs. It's a new phase we're entering into. You look through the catalogs, and can one just look at the picture without imagining me having that on? With that comes a desire to order, to buy 1, 2, 3. and just, wait a minute, let me just see whether I can look at the picture without imagination setting in and bringing in the movement of wanting. How nice it would be to have that in the house or in the garage. That's of course what advertising is all about, inciting, stimulating the imagination so that you'll want all the time. Children, it's very difficult for mothers to go shopping with children these days. Great conflict because children think mom isn't friendly because the advertiser says, ask your mom to get that for you. And of course, what is pictured on the tube is not what these toys are like. It brings the child in using these guns or soldiers or puppets in a way that the toy isn't like that.
Not only that, they booby trap the store. They put these things around in specific locations so that kids will see them and nag them over to buy them.
Yeah. And remember what was on TV. Oh, this is what I saw. This is what the man said you should get. And again, memory. If that hadn't happened on the show, child may not want this thing. So in order to see whether one has to continue living with constant, incessant wants, and it may feel really after a while like a great drudgery or handicap, a great burden, all constantly wanting. One has to understand wanting and see whether by understanding it, seeing it operate, it can lose its power where it doesn't have a place. As you may say, I want to want. Well then, go ahead, want. Any more questions? It's almost 1:30.
Yeah, if people want to clean up. Give people a bit of time to clean up if they want.
Yeah.